Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something wild. 10 countries that are straight up telling their citizens, maybe hold off on that trip to the US. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking travel advisories, border tensions, and some serious global side-eye. So why are these countries waving the red flag on visiting the US? Stick around, because we're breaking it down country by country. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And let's jump right in. First up, the United Kingdom. The UK's Foreign Office updated its travel advice for the US in March 2025, and it's raising some eyebrows. Brits are being warned about strict entry rules, with a big emphasis on double-checking visa or ESTA requirements. Why? Because reports have been climbing of British travelers being detained at US borders over minor visa issues like overstays or vague travel purposes. Since Trump's immigration crackdown ramped up again, things have gotten noticeably stricter. Now it's not a full-on travel ban, but the message is crystal clear: follow the rules to the letter, or risk being denied entry, maybe even detained. The UK sends around 4 million tourists to the US every year, but that number could take a hit. Some Brits are already canceling trips, worried they'll face a cold or even hostile welcome. And let's not ignore the politics. Trump's recent jabs at European trade and the EU haven't exactly helped ease tensions. For now, the UK's stance is proceed with caution. Have a great trip, but make sure your paperwork is rock solid, or you could be on the next flight back. Next up, Canada. Our neighbors to the north recently tweaked their US travel advisory, and it's a bit of a wake-up call. Canadians planning to stay in the US for more than 30 days are now being urged to register with US authorities in advance. Why the sudden caution? A recent case made headlines. A woman from Vancouver was detained for a full week over a visa technicality. That, paired with viral remarks from MP Charlie Angus, who straight up said, "Avoid the US if possible, it's a tyranny under Trump," has put serious heat on the issue. The official advisory stays practical: follow the rules or face detention or deportation. But underneath, the tone is heating up. There's growing concern in Canada over Trump's rhetoric, especially his bizarre quip about annexing Canada as the 51st state. Border crackdowns have also hit dual citizens hard, adding to the tension. With millions of Canadians crossing into the US each year, this could really cool travel plans. Some are even boycotting trips out of political protest. It's not a full-blown warning, not yet. But the message is clear. The US isn't as friendly as it used to be, and Ottawa wants its citizens to brace for a tougher time at the border. At number 3, Germany. The German Federal Foreign Office just updated its travel guidance for the US, and the message? A visa or ESTA doesn't guarantee smooth entry. They're warning travelers that US border officials can turn you away at their discretion. No appeal, no explanation. This comes after several German nationals were detained at US borders earlier this year, many for past overstays or simply having vague travel plans. It's not an official travel ban, but the tone is serious. Expect intense scrutiny. With around 2 million Germans visiting the US each year, this could definitely shake things up. And it's not just about paperwork. There's deeper tension brewing. Trump's hardline stances, especially on gender, clash with Germany's more progressive values. That's raised particular concern for trans travelers. Combine that with ongoing trade disputes and, yeah, it's a bit of a diplomatic storm. The bottom line from Germany? Travel's still allowed, but don't expect it to be carefree. Be ready for tough questions and possibly even denial at the border. Coming in at number 4, Denmark. This Scandinavian nation just revised its US travel advisory, and it comes with a specific warning for transgender travelers. The issue? Under Trump's revived two-gender policy, passports with an X gender marker might not be accepted. Denmark is urging trans and non-binary citizens to contact the US Embassy before they travel, just to be safe. Beyond that, Denmark's also echoing a familiar message. Even with a valid visa or ESTA, you're not guaranteed entry. Border enforcement is tight, and the welcome may not be warm. Denmark's progressive stance is clearly clashing with recent US shifts, and this advisory makes that tension official. It's not a "don't go" warning, but it is a red flag for a specific group. With around 300,000 Danes visiting the US each year, this could impact travel plans, especially as stories of detentions and humiliating border checks circulate. Add Trump's recent digs at the EU, and Denmark's extra caution starts to make perfect sense. Travel's still possible, but for some Danes, it might not feel worth the risk right now. At number 5, Finland. Much like Denmark, Finland updated its U.S. travel advisory in March 2025. And again, the spotlight is on transgender and non-binary travelers. Trump's gender policy recognizes only male or female on official documents, which could mean big trouble for Finnish passports marked with an X. The advice? Double-check with the U.S. Embassy before booking anything. But the advisory doesn't stop there. Finland is warning all travelers that border checks have gotten stricter. Even if your visa or ESTA is approved, that's no longer a guaranteed green light. This comes after several reports of Europeans, including Finnish citizens, being unexpectedly detained or turned away at U.S. borders. With around 200,000 Finns visiting the U.S. yearly, this new layer of uncertainty could cool off those numbers. The advisory isn't a stop sign, but it is a serious heads-up. Between Trump's frosty stance toward the EU and Finland's strong commitment to inclusivity, there's a growing values gap. For Finnish travelers, it's about doing the math. Is the hassle really worth the trip? For now, caution is the name of the game. At number 6, we've got France. While the French government hasn't issued an official travel warning for the U.S. just yet, they've updated their guidance, and it's pretty clear. Be extra careful with entry rules. Why the caution? France is watching a growing trend. More and more Europeans are being detained or denied entry at U.S. borders. Even with valid visas, travelers have been flagged if anything seems off to U.S. officials. With over 1 million French tourists heading to the U.S. each year, this shift could have serious impact. Some of the tension seems linked to Trump's ongoing digs at the EU, and France hasn't exactly appreciated the screw the EU energy coming from D.C. There's also growing concern about safety and treatment of LGBTQ+ travelers following U.S. policy changes. While it's not a don't go message, the tone is definitely shifting. French travel blogs and forums are buzzing. People are nervous about feeling unwelcome or being singled out. For now, France says, go ahead and travel, but go prepared. The U.S. just isn't the open door it used to be, and it's better to know that before you book. Coming in at number 7, New Zealand. The Kiwi government has updated its U.S. travel advice, and the main headline, entry isn't guaranteed, even with an approved ESTA. They're flagging tougher border enforcement and warning travelers about the real risk of being detained or turned back over what used to be minor slip-ups. Things like past overstays or unclear trip details. This follows a few high-profile cases where New Zealanders were denied entry at U.S. airports. With around 300,000 Kiwis visiting the U.S. each year, that's a big deal. New Zealand's message is blunt. U.S. officials have the final say. No exceptions. So even if your docs are in order, you could still get the boot. Some tie this tension to Trump's global trade posturing. Even though the U.S. and New Zealand are allies, that doesn't mean Kiwis are immune to the chill. Social media's lit up with debates. Is it even worth the risk right now? Safety isn't the big concern. It's the unpredictability at the border. Bottom line from New Zealand, we love the U.S., but if you're headed there, bring patience and flawless paperwork, or you might be waving at the Statue of Liberty from a deportation lounge. At number 8, Australia. The Department of Foreign Affairs has raised its travel advice for the U.S., warning Aussie travelers to brace for tougher border checks. Even with a valid visa or ESTA, entry isn't guaranteed. U.S. officials now have more discretion than ever to deny you for things like past overstays or vague travel plans. This update comes after several reports of Australians being detained stateside over what used to be minor visa issues, and with around 1.5 million Aussies visiting the U.S. each year, this one hits close to home. It's not a ban, but it is a wake-up call. Trump's immigration push is in full swing, and it's clear he means business. Some Aussies are starting to sour on U.S. trips, pointing to trade tensions and what they see as an increasingly closed-off American vibe. Safety's not the concern here. It's the hassle that's turning people off. Australia's message is calm but clear. Don't panic, but prepare. Dot every I, cross every T, and know the rules inside and out. The US is still a bucket list destination, but the welcome mat, it's got some new fine print. And at number 9, Ireland. The Department of Foreign Affairs recently updated its US travel advice, flagging the same issue we've been seeing across the board: tighter entry rules, more detentions, and zero guarantees. Even if you've got a valid visa or ESTA, it might not be enough. Irish travelers are being warned that customs officers can, and will, turn people back if there's anything off, like a past overstay or unclear travel intent. This isn't just theoretical. Stories of Irish citizens being detained at U.S. borders have made headlines back home, and they've struck a nerve. With about 700,000 Irish tourists visiting the U.S. each year, many with family ties, this advisory carries extra weight. It's not a don't go warning, but it's a strong be ready message. Enforcement under Trump is strict, and Irish travelers looking for that classic J1 summer or reunion trip might face a few more hoops to jump through. There are no major safety concerns. It's all about the red tape and the risk of getting turned around at customs. For now, Ireland's advice is practical. Know the rules, prep your paperwork, and don't assume entry's a sure thing. The US still has its charm, but it's fading fast if you're stuck explaining yourself at JFK. And rounding out our list at number 10, the Netherlands. The Dutch government recently updated its travel advice for the US, and it's a clear caution flag. Even with an approved ESTA or valid visa, Dutch travelers are being warned that US border officials can still deny entry, especially if there's a past overstay or if your travel plans seem vague. This comes after several Dutch nationals were turned away or even detained at US borders, raising concerns back home. The Netherlands sends about 800,000 tourists to the US every year, and with this advisory, that number might dip. It's not an outright warning or ban, but it's definitely a signal. Trump's immigration stance means tighter scrutiny. Some are connecting it to his ongoing jabs at the EU, while others are more concerned about how progressive travelers, especially trans and non-binary folks, might be treated under the strict two-gender policy. Safety isn't the issue here. It's the unpredictability. The Dutch message? You can still go. Just go smart. Double-check everything, have your documents tight, and be ready for questions. The US is still on the travel map, but for Netherlanders, it's no longer the easy, carefree trip it used to be. And there you have it, 10 countries waving red flags about US travel in March 2025. From border hassles and visa denials to deeper clashes over policy and values, it's a major shift in how America is being seen abroad. So what do you think? Are these fair warnings or just overreactions? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your travel crew. Stay curious, stay informed, and wherever you're heading, safe travels. Catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.